Hey everybody, Pastor Daniel here. I am coming to you live today just to share a little bit of information about our worship schedule as we continue to move forward here into the yellow phase. So, this Friday, we have been given the clear that groups of 25 are able to gather again and still be considered somewhat safe. And for many of us, that seems like we're very, very thrilled. We're very excited. That means, yes, finally we can get back together for worship. It's something that I really desperately want us to do, but what we're going to do as we move into yellow phase is that for the month of May, we're going to continue on worshiping as we have been with online worship. So at 9:30 on Sunday, here on Facebook, here on YouTube, on Vimeo, through your email, you'll receive a link to these worship services, and that you'll be able to worship with us, engage in the comment section, be in prayer. We'll have Zoom fellowship right after those. We'll continue doing what been doing. And here's the reason why. Though we can have groups of 25 meet, we have a couple of things that we all have to be worried about. The first is if we're going to practice the best safe practices that are given to us during this time, is that we can have groups of 25, but we're still required or still recommended to wear masks during this time. And we're also asked that if you're in a different household, that you sit at least 6 feet apart. So that's one. How many people want to come and worship with a mask on? But the bigger part for me is if we were to meet in person and if we were to say we have to implement social distancing and good healthy practices. We've been apart since March 22nd physically, and I would crave and long to reach out and want to hug and shake hands and be with. And if that's something that I'm craving, then I'm sure that many of us are craving. And I don't want us to all get this bold and brazen idea that we can just shirk off the safety and the responsibilities that we have to do no harm as Christians. And so I want us to make sure that we have good, healthy, safe practices when we do that. The other two fears are just the number of people. We have over 140 regular worshipers with us here at St. Paul's, and that was before online worship took off. Since online worship, we've been able to engage with more and more people who I'm hoping will want to join us whenever we can physically meet. And so let's say we have 150 people who want to worship with us in person. If we can only have 25, realistically, we would have to have 6 services just to be able to have 150 people gather. But really, we would have to have 7, if not 8, because the amount of people we would need to have to run the service are many. It's not just me running around doing everything. We would need a musician, somebody who can help run sound and technology, and other people who can engage in worship. And so it takes a mighty village to make a worship service happen. So with that understanding, we would have to have a lot of services. You all know I need to take a nap after we've done one worship service, and also the timing of we would have to have a worship service and then clean after the worship service, do another worship service, clean. And so practically it just seems very difficult, even though we know not everybody will come. Still trying to do two worship services in this sort of format can seem very defeating and depleting. So instead, what we're going to do is we're just going to try and worship as we have been for the month of May, because we don't want to try and be gatekeepers who are manning the door and making sure we have our counting people, and that once we hit 25, the gates are shut, the doors are barred, all of this. So that's our current model. Everything will continue to happen virtually. Uh, in the month of June, what I would like us to begin to see happen is that as long as everything is still going as is, we're still in a yellow, no new restrictions have been implemented, everything seems to be, status quo, maintaining, that we would begin to implement a house church model. So what a house church model is our roots. It's our deep, deep roots, but with technology added in. So we would still record a worship service. We would still broadcast that into all of your homes. But maybe there's a number of homes in a community. Whoever's the most technological, who can hook up their computer to their TV to broadcast this, or has YouTube so that they can stream it that way. What we would do is that we would then worship two or three families, two or three households in one house, and that you would get your social interaction. You would get your social interaction. You would get your time with other people. You would get to see other people, and that you would get to worship in person. And though it's not the whole church, it's at least some of it. And so we would begin to engage in worship in that way, and still try to be as safe and as healthy as we can during those times. And for those who say, I'm not comfortable with that still, I want to be as distant as I can, you can still do that. Worship is still going to be broadcast in the same way. We're still going to do a Zoom fellowship. We're still going to try and do as much as we can online. But the house church will just be another avenue of which people can engage. It is also in the month of June that we'll revisit the conversation of small groups and Bible studies if they are wanting to meet in person, if they are able to practice the safe distancing and all of that, that we would open ourselves up to do that during this time. But that wouldn't be until June that would happen, and we would sign off on that. So you would get the assurance. But those are our goals, those are our plans, that June is when those things would begin to take place. Um, in July, it's so difficult because it's been a day to day, a week to week operation here at St. Paul's, but also in the government and in the health system, that new policies, new procedures, new information's coming out. So if everything's staying as planned, if we're switched to the green, our hope is that in July we would be able to begin to meet in person here in the church for Sunday morning worship. We know that that might not happen. We know that we could still be in this for quite some time. And here's the thing, I want you to know that that can seem so defeating that we could be doing this for a long period of time. But here's what I want you to know. Part of our vision, in fact, most of our vision, is that we will grow as a community of hope, recognizing there's a place for all at Christ's table. During this season, we need to be that community of hope for people. It is so easy to get lost in despair. It's so easy to get lost in misinformation and want to complain and be bitter and doubt and be fearful of authorities and what people are saying and say, we're just weak and we need to do this. It's so easy to say that, and I get where that comes from and I understand it, and at times I want to buy into it. But during this time, we need to be people who are not sharing scared statistics. We need to be people who aren't trying to share misinformation. We need to be people who aren't coming like we're professionals, but instead we need to be people who are hopeful, people who are deeply rooted in Christ, who just want to share peace and hope and love and joy during this time. And so we're going to continue on living as a community of hope, if growing as a community of hope, and sharing that there is a place for everyone at Christ's table, and they can do it wherever they are because Christ's table is bigger than we can fathom. Um, so share that. Don't share the fear. Don't share the despair. Don't share those things. Share the hope that we have in Jesus with one another. And when we're able to meet in person, when we're able to do those things, I promise you, we are going to do them whenever we can be as safe and that we aren't worried. In this video, I scratched my eyebrow, and I already want to go back and re-record it because I just want to do that. But I hope you know that I'm going to wash my hands right after this because I touched my face. But I'm ready for us to be in a season to where the little face touches, the little coughs, the arrows in the grocery store are no longer things that we concern ourselves with. But until we get there, until we're at that point, can we be people who practice hope in this season? So, May, business as usual. We're going to continue on doing what we're doing. June, we're going to begin to look at house church models and maybe in person small groups and Bible studies. And then in July, we hope to be able to meet. But as things change, as things shift, we will respond to those accordingly. But we just wanted to give you some information here and now. And so we know some of you like a video, but we also know that some of you like text as well. So that information is also here in an email that we send out, and I'll include it here in in the post that we share this on our Facebook page, just so that you have it in both forms, whichever one you prefer. So we are grateful that you guys continue to be a beacon of hope here in Lewisburg and in the surrounding area, that you are spreading that hope to each and every person, whether it's through the resources that you are donating through the church, to other organizations, through person-to-person interactions that you are having, of just loving on people in whatever they need during this season. You are all doing a great job. You are all more than enough. You are all loved. And if there's anything that we can do as a church body to be in ministry, or if you are in need of help, I know that asking for help is a difficult thing, but if there is help that you need, let us know, and we will gladly rise to the occasion. There are people who are here who want to surround you with love in this time. So, I know it's a bit of a bummer that we can't get together, but I'm so grateful we live in a time to where we can still interact and still engage, even if it's through a computer screen. So I love you all. Looking forward to when we can see each other physically, but I rejoice that I get to see you virtually. Love you all, and I will talk to you soon.